Today I want to give you an overview of Bluetooth mesh controls. What is so groundbreaking about Bluetooth mesh? Well, to understand that, what I'd like to do is maybe talk about a wireless system that you're already familiar with so we can compare and contrast the two, and that would be Wi-Fi. In your home, you probably have a Wi-Fi system set up. You probably have a cable modem or some sort of modem bringing in internet from the outside, and then that's tied to a wireless router. And that's sending out a signal to all your devices. So for example, you might have a cell phone connected to Wi-Fi in your home. You might have another cell phone. You might have a laptop. And that's tied in. You might have a wireless printer of some type. And that's also connected. This architecture is called hub and spoke, and they call it that because the router is at the hub and has all the information, and all the devices out here are on the spokes, if you will, which works for your home but not necessarily so well for lighting controls. And here's some of the disadvantages. First of all, these devices are all dumb devices in the sense that they don't have any knowledge of the network. And so if the hub goes down, they lose connectivity not only to the hub but to each other. So your laptop can no longer send any information to your printer. Another disadvantage is it's a single point of weakness. Because all the intelligence resides in the hub, if it goes down, everything stops working. Another disadvantage is some of the Wi-Fi enabled light fixtures required a certain setup from the Wi-Fi hub, and so that made it more complex to set up. So that's just a few of the disadvantages. Just to get us started, let's talk about Bluetooth mesh. We're going to start with a definition. The first thing I want to talk about is what a node is. So from the last video, we talked about a Bluetooth mesh-enabled light fixture using Casambi. In fact, this talk is specific to the Casambi system that LED Inspirations has adopted as one of our control systems. So a node would be a driver, so that would be 24 volts in our world, and that would be connected to a Casambi decoder. So this is the decoder. And those would be connected, and then that would be connected to a run of tape light. And so all this together is called a node. So let's talk about how the nodes connect in the Bluetooth mesh network. So if you have one node and then you have a second node, these two would have a conversation, and they would have full knowledge of what each other is doing. If you added another node into the system, he would then join the conversation. And if you added another node, he too would have a conversation with all the other players. And then if you added another node, he would join the conversation as well. Notice that everybody is talking to everybody. This has some very distinct advantages because everyone has full knowledge of the system going on. So how do you control a Bluetooth mesh system? Well, you need a controller. From our last video, that would be where you put the human input in. So for example, you might use an iPhone or any smart device, an iPad. It works with those, even a smart watch. And so we're going to put a cell phone in here, and he's going to talk to the node closest to him. The node closest to him would be called a proxy. The proxy gathers the information from the controller and then propagates it throughout the network. And that leads us to some of the advantages of this system. So the first one is that it works with all smart devices. They all come out of the box ready to speak the Bluetooth language, and that's a huge advantage. Unlike some of the light fixtures that had to work with specific information from the hub. Another thing is that it's low energy. So on the label, sometimes you'll see BLE. That's not a wrong spelling for the word blue of Bluetooth. That stands for Bluetooth Low Energy. And what that means is it uses a lot less energy than, say, the Wi-Fi system. So what you could do is you could produce a switch that is Bluetooth mesh enabled, and it would work off one of those little coin-sized batteries, and it could last for years. Another advantage of the mesh system is that it's intelligent. As I talked about, each one of these nodes has full knowledge of everyone else. And so there is no single point of failure. In fact, if one of the nodes goes offline, all the rest of the signal will still be propagated to the rest of the network through all the other players, the other nodes. And then when this node comes back online, they will all bring him back up to speed, so he's fully aware of the state of the system as well. Another advantage is that no internet is required. Now, when you first start, you might have the system configuration up in the cloud, and so you can use your smart device and download that through the internet. But once you have that, you don't need the internet to control the system, which means your router could go out, the internet could go down, and you can still turn your lights on and off. So let's talk about a few other types of nodes that are available. Just as we talk about how you would use the system. Remember, each one of these nodes is a Bluetooth mesh-enabled light fixture. But you can also have other nodes on the system as well. So for example, you can have a node that is a motion sensor. So we're going to put a motion sensor in here. And the moment we put that motion sensor in, he starts talking to all the other nodes as well. And so he's now part of the network. Now, you can use the motion sensor a lot of ways. For example, you could use it in your office. When I walk in my office, the motion sensor notices that there's movement in that office, and then the program would then tell the light fixture in that same room to turn on when I'm there or turn off when I'm not there. But because it's all the network connects to itself, you don't have to only control that light. You could control lights all the way over here. So for example, I could put this motion sensor in my garage. And when the garage door starts to open, it would turn on perhaps my garage light, my porch light, and then also my kitchen light as well. And so you can, because the whole network has knowledge, you can program it to do anything with any of the light fixtures based on the input from this node. Let's talk about another type of node. This could be a light sensing mode, a light sensor. You can do a lot of things with a light sensor. So we're going to put this light sensor over here. And once again, when you turn him on, he starts connecting to all the other nodes in the network. So they all have knowledge of what's going on. So for example, what you could do with this is daylight harvesting. So daylight harvesting is when you use as much daylight as possible trying to save energy. So if I had an office and it was right by a large window where I got a lot of sunlight in, suppose I wanted my desk to maintain 40-foot candles of light, which is a good amount of light for me to read by and work by. And so during the daylight with the sun shining in through the window, that means the lights maybe could be dimmed down to 20% to maintain 40-foot candles. But with the sun fully set, I would need to have the lights on 90% to have 40-foot candles on my desk. And so what the light sensor does is it's continually monitoring the light coming into my office and adjusting the lights in my office so that if the sun is full on, it's got them dimmed down to 20, and as the sun starts to set, it starts brightening them up and brightening them up, always maintaining 40-foot candles on my desk. So those are just two other nodes. There's many other types of nodes that you can put on the network, but the benefits are that it's all connected, and so they all have intelligence. It's very robust. As you walk around with your controller, if it were indeed a cell phone, as you walk around, it would continue to connect. The network can expand, and so it can cover a vast amount of distance. The distance, by the way, between any two nodes, Bluetooth says it's 33 feet. But in indoor environments, typically it'll go up to 100 feet and outside 160 feet. And if you needed to extend between two light fixtures because they weren't communicating, all you would simply do is take another Kasambi decoder and stick it in there without anything connected to it other than power, and it would then join the network and relay the signal through. So it's a very robust network, Bluetooth mesh, with a lot of advantages. I just wanted to give you a quick overview. Thanks for watching.